Manny, we are on. We got to put the books away. This is it. What are you reading?
Coming up soon, but we got a special guest today, and I can't wait to talk about it.
All right.
You're going to be very shocked about this, and it's going to segue right into this episode.
I like it. Welcome back, guys. All in Focus, the Creators Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Nice to see you all. It's been a minute. How's everybody? And how are you, my friend Mark?
Well, everybody's good, and I'm good, and I mean, hopefully everybody's good, right? But no, yeah, same old, man. Just actually, well, maybe not so same old, with a little hint of some destination wedding and whatnot.
Yeah,
I was away in Arizona. It was insanely beautiful. Unlike today, it's raining, which is
gloomy,
it's like
Jersey
what did I? It's like, oh, I forgot a battery. I got to go back to Arizona and get it. It might take me a week. Consistent, beautiful weather. Just amazing to shoot a wedding out there. Anything on the West Coast or anything out west is just changed the game. When we did Vegas, remember that lighting? It was just so crisp and. I don't know. It was just amazing. So, yeah, no, definitely fun wedding. Yeah, decent. So, it was at this place. I got to give him a shout out. Ashley Castle. Amazing venue. I said, if you could just take that venue and put it everywhere, it wasn't enormous.
Ashley Castle.
Look it up. It's insanely beautiful. It goes right up, it butts right up against an Indian reservation. So, they have all this vast land behind them. It's like not a bunch of stuff built up around. But their courtyard and everything, it's perfect. You have the fountains, you have the ceremony area, you have the inside. It's not a big building. It's just perfect. They have every location you need to just crush a wedding and get all these beautiful shots. But yeah, no, that was cool, man. Arizona. I would go back there 100 times if I could. That very cool spot.
How was it traveling? What kind of gear did you bring with you?
I kept it. So Pelican. I'm so glad I kept my Pelican case. I think it's called the 1510. It just fits on the plane. It's like the barely legal one, you know what I mean? Because I usually bring the Nanook, which is like twice as deep. I was able to make it work. 2 lights.
It fit in the overhead?
Yeah, fit in the overhead. I was like, amazing. 2 lights, audio equipment, my camera, my drone, everything. It all fit in that little 1510 case. Crushed it. I was just like, wow. I'm like, I haven't even put all the stuff back into my Nanook case because it is lighter. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll just like rock this for now if I can. See how long I can get away with it. But backup batteries, audio, lenses, everything. Yeah, it was awesome.
Did you get the drone up?
Oh, yeah. I got to wait till you see it. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's just the sunset when it hits behind the mountains and the bride and groom, there's a cool business out there, and I forget their name. I'd have to look it up again, but they basically bring old cars and like classic cars to the weddings, and they show up this couple. I got to get their Instagram. I'll make sure Jason throws up their name or something. Yeah. Coolest people. They're a little older couple. They set up their little lawn chairs and like, okay, do whatever you want. Take your pictures. We're just going to hang out. And they're snacking. Husband and wife. Been doing it forever.
Remember what kind of cars they were?
I don't. That's one thing I'm bad with.
Classic cars.
Yeah, classic. Totally classic. I'll show you the picture.
Bride and groom in there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. On the car, leaning on it. Just it felt like vintage. I don't know, the whole scene, like in the way the sun was setting, and it was just amazing. Like, the whole time. When we're shooting and we're just like, this is it. Holy shit. This is the shot. Yeah. We just kept like salivating over these shots, man. I'm telling you. And I will say this. I have to bring this up. The weather. Because I recently shot a wedding, and it was 73 degrees and humid, and I was sweating. I was like, oh, my God, this is crazy. Yeah. In Arizona, it was 99 degrees.
Wow.
And it didn't feel as hot.
No humidity?
No humidity.
Wow.
And I was like, you know what?
Time to move.
I know. I'm like, I kept saying, I'm like, all these boxes are checking off. I'm like, but, yeah. And then there was
I know you were sending me some cool photos.
It was amazing. Yeah.
You had some downtime too, right? You got to visit.
Did have some downtime. Yeah. I went to, so we flew into Phoenix. The wedding was in Chandler. And then we went to Scottsdale, Arizona too. That was cool. Talking Stick Resort. It was wild, man. I saw like coyotes just out in the distance. Yeah, I'm like, is this normal? Like we see deer, like, no, it's coyote.
Coyote in the parking lot.
Yeah,
pretty wild.
Just waltzing around in the parking lot. I'm like watching. I'm like, do people know that thing's just running around? But I guess it's like, all right, said Fido.
Normal for them.
Yeah, I guess
like
so.
North Jersey, up in Sussex County, they got bears up there.
It's true.
It's a normal day for them, right?
I guess, but yeah, it was cool. And then obviously. Once Arizona wrapped up, the cool, very, very incredible couple. Once that was done, we drove up to Vegas, celebrated my 30th, death to my 20s. Yeah, it was fun, man. It was a good one. Nah, I don't know. It's like, ow. No, but it was a good time. I stayed at the Cosmopolitan, just, went to some clubs and just enjoyed the weather, honestly, and the pool and all that. But yeah, it was cool. I'm looking at the spots where we filmed, we shot the weddings. I was like, we shot a wedding up there, Paris Hotel,
Speaking of drones, too, did you see
yeah.
the new Mavic 4 Pro that came out? Did
You know,
see that?
I didn't see it, but I saw it. Like I saw the
the
ads and
launch.
everything. Yeah,
DJI New York had the launch of
wild.
it. This drone is incredible. It is a DJI Mavic 4.
yeah.
The camera system. You got to go on
Yeah.
YouTube and check it
I
out.
heard it's really, really
a
good.
Slightly larger than most Mavics. But it's got like 4 or 5 different cameras in there. The zoom on it is incredible.
Well, that's what I saw. The one clip, they just kept zooming in on that like weird mountain picture with the sun peeking through, and it just kept zooming in. It was just like it's forever sharp, like
Hefty
wild.
price tag though. It's over 4K.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that part. I must have missed that.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
pretty
maybe
sure
I had to
it's over
zoom in
4K.
really
That
tight
might be
to
with
see
the
that.
bundle, but it's up there unless I read it wrong.
Yeah.
I looked at. Yeah.
He just crushed that game. Yeah, I mean, I know I saw that. And some people text me, "Hey, did you check this out?" I'm like, "Not yet, but I saw it or I heard of it." But
And speaking of destination weddings, you leave this weekend for another one, right?
yeah, don't blink, you'll miss it. Yeah, this Friday, baby, we're going to Mexico.
Good for you. And,
Yeah, so three days. It should be fun. I'm second shooting it for a good friend of mine, Joe Eckert. He's cool.
Yeah,
So
nice.
he'll be crushing some video. I'll be second shooting for him, and
Awesome.
excited. I've
Any
never
any
been.
changes with your own personal weddings? Like I know we've talked about the wedding industry and how it's changing slightly with social content creation. We've talked about the lack of like reaching out, I guess, if you will, and
Yeah.
bookings.
Oh,
Is it getting busier for you?
yeah, no, it's definitely
Yeah.
busy, but it's just still this tricky road of like, I mean, I still see the stuff on Facebook and all these posts, and it's so like somebody's got to go in there and just like change that game because it's just the Wild West right now of like everybody plasters their name. We've discussed this before, but it's like how to stand out, how to like because it's just flooded. But no, luckily we are busy and just keep chugging along. I just can't believe we're like in end of May already.
Yeah.
Like this is it.
Yeah,
Like, summer's coming. I mean,
It's getting busy. I'm getting busy. I just did a cool event for AMC Walking Dead at a Mets game. That
Yes,
was really
you
cool.
did.
So we had the walkers.
yeah.
The walkers. I what's funny, and I never knew this. The walkers that play on the show
Yeah.
are from an entirely different organization.
What do you mean?
Like their management, right? That's from a different company, not through AMC. I forget. I think it's called 3CS. Is
Yeah.
the name of the company, I believe. And they're all hired by this company. They're trained by this company. They have their own makeup artists, have
Wow.
hairstyles, and they all travel together. It's pretty wild.
That is interesting.
Yeah,
So
it's
they
really
don't. They're just like, is it like a union for zombies?
I don't. It could be a union,
Right.
But it's definitely a company
Yeah.
that runs this group of individuals that are on the creativity team for the AMC Walking Dead,
Do you-
and it was really neat. And them walking around.
That's
Citi
gotta be
Field
cool.
Was really cool,
Right?
Yeah, it was a lot
I
of
know.
fun.
You think if they ever go on strike, they like walk around? That's where my mind went. Like
Imagine them holding signs.
they're gonna
but
say
yeah,
the deal is dead. We're gonna walk in.
right.
That's cool. I love The Walking Dead. I've been watching it since day one. That's why it's like when when everyone's like, "Oh, I stopped watching it. It got a little slow." I'm like, I watched it from the beginning. I had to follow it through. I just watched. Did you watch the Rick and Michonne? Rick and Michonne. They had their own like few episodes. I forget what it was called. Well, something with Rick, and he's like back. He's
No, I
like
didn't see that one.
he's not dead. So
I actually stopped watching it. And I'm starting to rewatch
yeah,
it.
there's a
again.
lot to catch up on. I always like Negan though. He's cool with
he was there.
Maggie.
Yeah.
Maggie.
They both were there.
Yeah.
both of those two actors were
The
there.
New York
They're
one, yeah.
great people. They're awesome.
Yeah.
So much fun. And so things are starting to pick up, with Getty, and very busy. We got Tribeca Film Festival coming up in a less than a couple of weeks. But
Right.
before that, I am flying down to Miami, Florida. I wanted you to come.
I'm close.
could be my
I might be
wingman.
kind of close. I don't know. I heard.
Well, that's right. You're going to be in Orlando.
I heard I
right?
might. Be, yeah, I see it from the top of the Ferris wheel.
Yeah, I think there's a train now that goes from Orlando to Miami. You guys hop on that. Meet me down in Miami. I'll be down there for Miami Swim Week.
I mean, you don't have to tell me to twist my arm to go down to Miami for swim week.
Swim Week. Come on.
All right.
Beach, waterfront,
Yeah.
ocean,
Darn, yeah, it's
yachts.
Who would want to go there, right?
Who wants to go
wants
there?
to go there? I think I'd rather stay here and watch the rain hit the window today and
Like
just
this gloomy
stare
day
at
we
it.
have
It's
right now.
awful.
Yeah, so
but-
we're doing that next week. Fly out on a Thursday.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And it will be fun. And then I come back and then go right into Tribeca Film Festival. So that'll be fun.
Don't you just feel like too like so? And this kind of ties in with the weather too. And this is my own personal opinion. Time goes by so fast, right? From like January to like June, we rush the first like 6 months of the year.
Yeah.
Because we're like, oh, we want nice weather. We want nice weather. And May is hit or miss. And like maybe June, it finally straightens out. But then we're already halfway through the year. But also, point is, all of a sudden, work just goes from like January so quiet, and then all of a sudden it's like boom, 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 right back to back. It's like strap on, baby, here we go. You know what I
talking
mean?
with a photographer the other day. I was shooting an event in New York at a place called 92Y,
Okay.
92NY.
Yeah.
And he told me that his downtime, and like us and everybody in entertainment, and
Yeah.
you know, weddings, they're all year round, right?
Yeah.
There used to be like a busy season. There still might be a slight busy season, but I still think weddings are all year round. A lot of still Thursday weddings coming up too.
I was gonna say that's the last one I did was a Thursday wedding.
But he travels in January. That's
Wow.
what he does. He says he works all year and then just takes January off and just travels.
Oh,
because
for leisure.
because it's quiet. It's like dead time for him, right?
That's true.
So I was like, yeah, that's a good point because you know I remember in January and February we were like, what's going on? There's no
know.
work, right? And it is
Nothing.
true. It's kind of
Just
like
desolate
quiet.
and dead.
That might be a good idea to look into, like
I know.
get out of like New Jersey for a while, and go
Yeah.
somewhere warm.
I know, Arizona. Just saying.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful, man. I can't. Every day, I'm like, you know, it's funny. You know, we get cool sunsets here in Jersey, no doubt. There's some beautiful ones, but then I'm looking at the pictures I'm taking. I'm like, dude, I'm in like a Target Plaza right now, and it is immaculate. I'm like, people are out over and by the water right now taking pictures. I'm like, I don't know, it's not hitting right. Like, there's palm trees and mountains. It was just maybe because it was just different for me. Like, I haven't been out that way, but the weather was just. You never have to check the weather. It's just like, yeah, it's the same. You're good. Carry on.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jersey's like, well, I'm gonna be a little bipolar today.
Right.
If it ends in Y, it's
And
bipolar.
you know what I want to talk about too is you mentioned, sometimes on this podcast we don't talk about the post processing of our images and editing work. And I know you've been, we talk on the phone. You're like, I'm swamped with
I
editing.
know, always.
You just outsourced, right?
I did.
And I know people
outsourced.
talk about Fiverr all the time.
Yes,
And I've used it too.
Yeah.
I'm not good at editing video at all, and I went on to Fiverr and I found a guy, and like you said, yours was in Pakistan or somewhere.
Yeah.
They're
was
all over
crazy.
the place. They're
Yeah.
countries that you wouldn't even imagine.
Correct.
But their work is incredible.
their work is
and
good.
the turnaround is quick. So
Yeah.
I wanted to just talk about what you just.
So, the biggest piece of information that I've been getting from anyone I've mentioned this to was "I told you so." Because I, for years, was like, I'm nervous that, like, the client likes my work. What if this person doesn't do work like that they're expecting me to do? Or so I was just always like a little hesitant. But then it got to a point where I'm just like, I'm too busy. Like, hopefully this guy can imitate my work or something. And sure enough, I found someone. And it didn't take long, but
What's the
based off the
turnaround
reviews, I was like a week.
It's not bad.
It was like stupid good. I'm over here like if it takes me a week to edit a video, but I have like 10 videos to edit, it's just like you got to try to like figure out based off maybe like whose event you shot first or whatever.
As creators, it's hard to let go of that process of editing your own work.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, it's like that weird like, okay, like, all right, let go. You know what I mean? Like when you're shaking hands with someone.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it was just so.
Analogy.
I'm like, all right, get off. You ever see Anchorman 2?
No.
With the part when what's his name? The guy goes
I
to
didn't
hug.
see it. How would I know?
That's fair. You gotta watch it. He goes to hug Champ. He goes. They hasn't seen each other in a while. And he's like, he's hugging him. He's like, all right, get off. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
No,
me. That was
exactly
me
right,
releasing
but
my work to someone.
Yeah,
else.
like you
I'm
don't want to relinquish that control.
Yeah.
And for me, video editing is no brainer. I went on Fiverr, I found a guy for one of our motorcycle runs. I put together all these different things with my Insta360.
Right.
And I had no idea what the heck I was doing.
Yeah.
And I found this guy on Fiverr, and we actually became friends over the years.
Oh, really?
Anytime I have a video project that I really need to nail it,
Right.
I send it to him. You upload the files. I
Sweet.
think I WeTransfer them
Yeah,
to him.
yeah, I did the P
And,
Cloud.
it's-
They're cool. Whatever. They're like,
Yeah.
whatever you want to send. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, it's
But
great.
yeah, no, it's
Easy.
definitely helping the flow of.
Yeah.
Just it's crazy when you're busy and it's just like, what am I gonna do?
So
It's like
shout
a
out to
mountain.
Fiverr there. You got some talent out there.
That's right. Yeah, all over Pakistan, whatever. Although as soon as the whole, I don't know what's going on, Pakistan and India were fighting. I'm like, how's the video looking? And I'm like, hope everybody's okay. But how's that video? I was like, oh my god. I was
you
like,
find somebody in Ukraine, you don't know what they're, where
Yeah.
they're because I've it lists where they're from, and you're like, wow, like
yeah.
and you're almost like, am I okay sending payment there?
Yeah.
Am I okay? But then
It's through Fiverr, so that's the
Fiverr that's
the
got
safety
great
net.
reviews.
Yeah.
You can look at everybody, and
Yeah.
it's really good. I definitely like it.
I like to give the benefit of the doubt, and just like hopefully everybody on here just wants to make money or like
Yeah.
just do their job or whatever and kumbaya.
They're probably vetted somehow.
Yeah, it's got to be right, and they get all the reviews too. So
Yeah.
but yeah, man.
So, we talk about a lot of times what we can do as photographers and videographers and stuff like that. And I think some of the things that we haven't touched on in the last few episodes were getting your images published.
Yeah.
Right.
So some next step spotlight.
Fortunately for me, working for Getty Images, I have a lot of published photos.
Yeah.
That go on the internet. Us Weekly, magazines, different internet.
I always see you posting
All
them on Instagram.
Yeah, because we get alerts. We get alerts. We get a Google alert every time a photo was used.
Like you personally will be like, hey, Manny, your photo was.
It doesn't say, hey, Manny, your photo, but it will just say, like, it's a Google alert saying that, such and such was seen here, or opening night of blah, blah, blah. And then it'll say,
Oh, because you're tagged in it, though, right?
we're tagged.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, we all have Google alerts set up. So
Nice.
we know when our images
That's
are
cool.
being used. It's kind of fun.
When, I was going to say, like, how often, like, have you ever done an event where you're like, wow, I remember shooting this, like, 2 years ago? Like,
Yes.
did they ever
Oh,
pull
yeah,
from
yeah.
back then? Yeah.
There is one lady from, I think she's on HGTV, Erin Napier.
Okay.
And I photographed Erin's probably last photo before AOL Build closed down right before COVID. And that was
Wow.
like 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
Whenever she has something coming out and her husband, Ben,
Yeah.
they always revert back to that photo. Because it is a really nice photo of her. But I don't know if she's done much press since then. So they like go back to
Hey,
that.
what do we got? Yeah. you
So
know.
that one runs a lot. Which
That's
is
cool.
Kind of funny.
Yeah, like, keep it coming.
But yeah, like if you shoot a concert the next day, you can almost guarantee there's something in there.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you shoot the Met Gala and stuff like that, your images are running like crazy all day.
Sure, yeah.
Unfortunately, I haven't been able to shoot the Met Gala yet, but it's on the bucket list.
I'm sure you'll get there.
One day.
We're crossing. You cross off.
The staffers get that, and I'm no problem with that.
Right.
I like doing other stuff as well.
Right.
But the reason why I brought that up was
Yeah.
like, prior to the digital age, you would see your images, and they still come in magazines. There's still published magazines like
Yeah.
in Touch, Us Weekly, People. But most of our stuff is all digital, right?
Right.
So
Big time.
when you can get somebody that reaches out to you and says, hey, I'm doing a project, and I really need a photographer. Okay, what's the
Right.
project? What are you doing? Well, I'm doing a book, or I'm doing a studio shoot,
Right.
or like what we just did.
Yeah.
Right, but
the
not
product.
that it's
yeah,
published.
Yeah.
Not the.
But-
what was the
The product. Bloom.
the product? Yeah, Bloom.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
The oils. Yeah.
The oils and stuff.
Yeah.
So we went to her house. She set it up, and we took all these amazing product shots. And your video was awesome.
Cool.
But now I'm talking about actually getting like for instance in this book here,
Yeah.
Tim Galway. He's an incredible author, and he talks about the mental game of sports.
Right.
And if you Google him, he's on Amazon, and he's been on TV on ESPN, honored for his books and helping athletes out with the inner game of the mental part of it.
Yeah. That's cool.
And he was down in Toms River. He used to live out in California, and he reached out to me, and his wife actually reached out to me because I did a photo for them a while back and said, Tim's got a new book out,
Right.
and we really want you to capture a nice, candid headshot
Yeah.
of him.
Right.
Just a nice headshot of him. He's up there in age. He can't really get out of the house. Would you come down? Of course.
Yeah.
Right? And Tim's a great guy.
Cool.
And when you sit down with him and you talk to him, the stuff that comes out of his mouth, you're just like, poof. Like if I could just
this is why
apply
you
this
write
on
books,
the golf
yeah.
course, I'd probably be
Yeah.
an 80.
Right. Yeah.
I'd shoot in the 80s, or if I was on the tennis court and just applying the principles that he says. So his books are really awesome.
Right.
And then in the back leaf here is
Sweet.
one of
There
the
it is.
photos that I took of Tim.
Yeah.
And this was just at his home, and it's just a nice clean shot.
Yeah.
Blurred out background.
I love it. I was just gonna say it looks super clean. I love it.
Yeah. And he obviously, he signed the book to me, and for
Nice.
your excellence in photography, thank you so much for the photo. Enjoy, Tim Galway. So it's
That was
nice
cool.
to have something tangible in your
Right.
hand, right? Instead of a magazine. This I'll hold on to this forever.
Right.
And the
And this-
information that's in this book is incredible.
Yeah.
And to have my picture on the back of it.
Well,
is
and
really
that's
cool.
exactly it, right? Now this is going to be everywhere, and it's like, yeah, that's my photo.
Exactly, yeah.
We always say where this industry can take you down to
Which leads us
end of a
to
piece.
why we're here today with our special guest. We have a gentleman by the name of Angelo Gingerelli. Angelo's been the strength and conditioning coach at Seton Hall University for many years, I think since 2005. And he's a published author. He's also an aspiring comedian. He's going to talk about that. And, we're going to talk about his book here today. And what we're also going to talk about as photographers and content creators, how you too can get your images published. And, if somebody does reach out to you and says, hey, look, I'm getting into this project, it could be a movie script, it could be a movie, it could be a book, it could just be just about anything. You don't know where your images are going to end up. and how to protect yourselves too with copyright and
True.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
we're going to take a quick break. We're going to bring Angelo on, and we'll see you shortly. All right, welcome back, everybody. And as you can see here, we have Angelo Gingerelli here. Welcome.
Let's redo that intro. I just want to give you.
Yeah. I was gonna say we'll squeeze him.
No, you're good.
Me?
Matt.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was just like. You
Yeah,
were hugging
I
that.
felt like I was off camera. Yeah.
And he was like, "Hello, everyone. How we doing?"
I'm like, we're here with our good friend Angelo.
Here we are.
All right.
We're good now, Christian?
Yeah,
All right.
All right, everybody, welcome back to All in Focus, the Recreators Podcast. And as you can see here, sitting in the middle of Mark and I, is Mr. Angelo Gingerelli. And he is the author of The Next 4 Years, Compete, Win, and Thrive in College Sports. Angelo, welcome to the podcast.
What's going on, guys? Excited to be here. Appreciate your time today.
Yeah, of course. Glad to have you here.
So what's new, Angelo? How's everything going?
Really good, man. It's May 2025, so college athletics is kind of winding down for the year, which is a good thing for me. I like being busy. I like working with other student athletes, but now it's summer at the Jersey Shore, which is always fun. Super busy. My daughter's Little League softball schedule, and then just looking forward to keep. The book came out on November 1st of 2024, so I plan on promoting as much as I can the rest of this year and probably start the next project early 2026. But it's been a really cool 2025. A lot of interviews, a lot of podcasts, and this is the first one I've done related to the photography in the book, so I'm super excited to talk about that because that's not a super, at least for me, I don't get to talk about that a lot, but I think we did a good job on the photography. I'm super excited to talk about it today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's why we call this podcast, All in Focus, because we could just grab from really anywhere. And I always like grabbing from like the scenes where people won't think like, oh wow, yeah, you can go there with that. You know what I mean?
I
So-
think one thing is name a thing that photography doesn't touch, right?
Yeah.
If you want to do anything in the world we live in, you need some good pictures of yourself out there, right? And what I always say, whether I'm in the athletic world or the comedy world, if you are not cool with every photographer you come in contact with, you are a fool because no one can make you look stupid than a photographer, right? So I know every
You're putting that up there on a caption.
Hold on,
Oh,
yeah.
I love that.
I know every photographer in Asbury Park is in music venues. All of our photographers at Seton Hall, I'm buying them a drink. I'm making sure they got a water. If we got pizza, they got pizza. Because my thing is like no one can ruin your life like a photographer, right? So let's help those guys and girls out and make them live like we're living.
I love that, man.
That was
And you know what? I'll take my lobster tail right now. No.
right.
If I see you guys out, you're the first people I'm buying a drink or a water or a lobster tail for because again, it matters.
Yeah,
Let's
we
talk
appreciate
for
that.
one thing,
truly.
real quick. What Angelo just said is truly amazing, right? Because we talked about this not just today for like our published books and stuff like that, and how and the relationship with the client, right? It's so important. Even like this is why when Mark was just saying, All in Focus is not just about weddings, but we will talk about weddings. Like when we're spending 8 to 10 hours with our clients on a wedding day, we want to absolutely make sure that they're having the best time possible.
Right.
Why? Because we're the professionals doing what we have to do, but we also want them to trust us, knowing that at the end of their wedding day, we nailed it. They're going to look amazing, just like what you were just saying, right?
Yeah.
So it's very important to have that connection with your photographer.
Definitely, man. You guys, I think the podcast is super cool too because I'm assuming people listen to this feel like they know you guys, and then you come and do the event, and you guys don't. Oh, I liked episode 7. I liked when you guys had this guest on. So I think it's kind of a cool thing. You guys are getting out behind the camera and out from behind the camera and in front of the mic a little bit, which I think is super cool.
Yeah, we have a lot, like we always say, our quote is we have a lot to say, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're always excited to be able to share what, our knowledge or what we've experienced.
Yeah,
over
we
the
jumped
years.
in this because of that, because we wanted to like absolutely show our experience in a more personal way and reach out to people and say, look, yeah, we're photographers, but we also have a heck of a lot of fun when we're shooting your event, right, Mark? I mean,
Absolutely.
wherever we go,
I know, are we working right now? Yeah.
we're going into the city tonight, and we got to do a shoot, and we're gonna have a blast. It's just the way we
Absolutely.
do it.
Yeah, you were like, you want to come? I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Right.
Let's do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And one thing I'll say to you guys real quick too, I think in the era we live in now where everybody's got a camera phone, a lot of people might not value high-level photography, right? But the sports analogy I always use is that everybody could run 100 yards, right?
Yeah.
A handful of people run 100 yards in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Everybody could take a picture. A handful of people could take a great, timeless, iconic picture, right?
I love it.
So the example I always give, I don't know if you guys are following, but college athletics has changed a ton in the last 5 years.
Okay.
And up until very recently, players were not compensated if they were on ads or billboards or T-shirts, and now they are, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
But the joke I was making in about 2017, 17, we had 3 really good men's basketball players at Seton Hall, and we plastered them everywhere. Billboards on the turnpike, buses, bus stops. They're the face of the university for 2 or 3 years. And one day I pulled up next to him at a bus, and then I saw the guys in the weight room later that day, and I was like, hey, fellas, man, there's 2 things I can't believe. 1, you don't get paid for these pictures, and 2, who is photoshopping them? Because you guys are not that handsome in real life.
Yeah, right?
I didn't know we had 3 Denzel Washingtons on the team this year. And we always laughed about that, but now we live in an era where the photographers and the players are being compensated, which I think is a better thing.
Right.
But again, that post-production is super important. I got a couple pictures from my first book that kind of got out there, and people are like, how old are these pictures you're using? Like, they're not old, they're just heavily photoshopped.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
That is true. And I had the opportunity to photograph some Rutgers cheer. Their I think it's called their dance cheer team or whatever. And these girls are so talented and amazing. Like even the cheer, like it's they're athletes. You know, it boils down to everything.
Yeah, no question.
So tell us about your books. What do you got here?
All right, so the book I guess we're here to talk about mainly today is The Next 4 Years. Again, it was totally self-published. So I did a couple books before that. I did one about comedy in Asbury Park with a small independent publisher out on the West Coast. And then I did a book with a pretty big publisher called Finish Strong, Resistance Training for Endurance Athletes. And the one thing about this, if you guys are thinking about publishing a book, the big publishing houses, the ones that are in Barnes & Noble and the really big ones, there's good and bad to working with them, right? So on my first project, they gave me a ton of guidance. They had a professional editor working with the project. And picture-wise, what they wanted to do, and I'll kind of show these out, they're kind of like not stick figures, but kind of
outline.
Of these pictures are of me with a much better hairline than I have in person. So I like that.
I share
process.
the same hairline, by the way.
It's a good look. It's a good look.
It might be on my way.
And then I went through that process, and I decided just financially I want to try to self-publish a book on Amazon and see how that works. And that brings to the next 4 years where the creative control was all mine, and I was able to decide how I want to do the pictures, how I want the layout to be. And I so far I like that process a lot better. I had a great experience with Bloomsbury, and it was a good time. I learned a lot with them. But for right now, the indie thing seems to be a little bit better option for someone like myself, and we'll talk about the pictures in a little bit here.
Yeah,
I think that's really cool that you said that having the control of your creativity, because I hear that a lot from musicians. I hear that a lot for people in just corporate industries, like getting out of corporate, becoming self-employed. Having that creative freedom is huge, and it sounds like you had that with this book, correct?
Yeah, and I think the popular thing to say is we want to rally against the big corporations and always want to control their destiny, which I think there's an element of that, right?
Yeah.
But I also think there's an element of if you're getting guidance from a corporation and learning from their professionals, that's a valuable education too. So I think if you're in the book publishing world, I think you should probably try to do both and decide for yourself which one you like better.
Right.
I was lucky, got a deal relatively quickly on the first one and learned a lot from Bloomsbury, and then took that knowledge and did it myself a few years later. And I think both are valuable. And I don't hate the publishing industry. I just think I like the indie thing a little bit better.
Yeah. Cool. I like the comedy stuff, man. We could use some laughs nowadays, right? Everyone's so high strung. I'm a full send guy. I'm like, say your worst joke. I don't care. I'm not offended. You know what I mean? Like, so many people are just like, I'm like, give me the laughs, man. Give me the laughs.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So then I guess we're going to talk about the photography in this newest book here. The back cover headshot is by a guy named Gabe Rhodes. Great guy. He's Seton Hall's official photographer. Yeah. And I always make the joke, if I'm ever divorced, Gabe Rhodes is taking my headshots for Tinder.
Yeah, right? Listen, which, by the way, we can do that. Any lucky guys or girls out there that need them, we got you, right?
Hey, real quick. I've been with the same woman for close to 20 years. I love my wife and my family. But is that a thing? Do people do professional photography for the dating apps?
Yes.
Well, I hope they will right now after listening to this. And we're running a special right now. If you book right now.
It makes sense to me. I get it.
Yeah, right? Subscribe right now and you'll get 15% off, right?
Yeah, no, that is true. I've gotten emails and said, I need professional headshots for it. And then I don't really know what they are for until I get, to the client sometimes. Typically, I think it's just for a business headshot. And they're like, yeah, I just want to get on Tinder, I want to get on this or get on that.
Yeah, right? Hey, listen.
Makes sense.
Right.
Listen, there's a lot of, like you said, photoshopping images, right? Let's say you look completely different. You go on your first day, you're sitting there at the bar, and the person goes, what the hell?
Yeah, right?
This isn't what I signed up for.
Yeah, it's like we got to make the ad. Don't get catfished. Hire us,
Oh, hey, real quick, because you guys talked about Fiverr before. And I actually got this cover done on Fiverr. And
really?
Everything done on Fiverr. So one thing I'll say.
Fiverr?
That was Fiverr.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
It was incredibly. It was so inexpensive. I actually had the same designer do the second edition, which is not written yet.
Yeah.
But the price was so good, and I like the work he did. I just had him design the second edition cover,
Yeah.
which will come out in a couple of years. But one thing I will say to people that want to work with Fiverr, what I found,
Yeah.
the more specific you could be with your instructions, the better it's going to come out the first time. I think some people have the idea
Yeah.
because about video editing. If you just send them an 8-hour wedding and say send me back a 3-minute highlight, it's probably not
Yeah,
going to be
you're like,
great. But
yeah.
if you send them a very specific idea of what you want, I found I got a great product. I think that the first edit was like close to perfect.
Yeah.
And what I did, I sketched it out. I showed the colors I wanted, and the cover of the book's based on the Air Max 95, the classic sneaker.
Okay,
I
I
sent
like
them
that
a
color.
picture of the Air Max 95, and they nailed it the first
Yeah.
time. So you can get great work done there, incredibly inexpensive, like you guys said earlier.
Yeah. It's the way
That's
to move. man.
really,
I'm telling you.
really good information, Angela. Thank you for sharing that. And you're not just a strength and conditioning coach. I'm looking at your bio here. Talk to us about being like an adjunct professor as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, if you're around the college campus and you have in the athletic department, you probably have some chances to do some other things. And probably similar to photography.
Yeah.
But I say get involved in as many things as you possibly can if you could do them well. And I've been able to move in a lot of spaces and share knowledge with people. And I think it's really cool, right? So started off in the weight room and that turned into teaching. And then people thought it was funny in those environments, led into doing stand-up and comedy in Asbury Park for about 10 years. And, things, just one thing leads to another. So I think that most of your listeners will kind of relate to that. You start off thinking, I want to be X, but X turns into YZ if you do it for enough time. I think
Doesn't
one
it
thing
always?
I always say to young people, man, for that to happen, I think you got to hang in something for a little while, right?
Yep.
If you're always changing your goals and your focus, you really never get past step one.
Yeah.
I've only gotten to step 2, 3, 4, wherever I'm at in my career. It's just
Right.
I've stayed at the main job at Seton Hall for 20 years and then built on top of that. So that just worked out for me. For you, it might be the Getty Images is your main thing and you build off of that. But I think you got to be in one place for a little bit and then can branch out from there.
Correct.
and
Yeah.
I want to just touch on that. And it's a little bit of reverse, but exactly what you said is true. When I first started out on my photography journey, I didn't really know. I said I wanted to shoot weddings, and I did start with weddings.
Yeah.
But then weddings started. You meet a lot of people during weddings.
Yeah.
Right? And they say,
The
hey,
connections.
what do you do this? Do
Yeah.
you do parties?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you do headshots? Yeah. Somebody might come up to me, hey, I'm a realtor. Do you do real estate? Yes. Do you have a drone? Yes.
Or
You know.
I'm Liam Neeson. Do you have a car? Remember we talked
There was
about
an
that?
issue where Liam Neeson, the actor, asked me for a business card.
Yeah,
We'll
right.
Get into that.
I like that story.
And that's a good one. And he talks just like it. Manny, do you have a car?
You're like, yeah.
And he's like, I'm looking up and I go, Liam Neeson just asked me for my card. Is he going to kill me right now or take me?
He probably
away?
could
And
with
what's
just
that?
the edge of the card. He could be like, oh.
It was a pretty surreal moment for me, but he's a heck of a nice guy and
Wow.
he's awesome. But what I was going into is like me becoming a drone operator, getting Part 107, certified, and having a drone license to be able to do like commercial work with that, and then getting hired by Getty Images in 2012 has led to so many other things. So there are a lot of people that focus on one genre of photography. There are just people that will shoot weddings. There are people that will not touch weddings because they don't want to spend 8 to 10 hours with the person, or they feel like
Right.
they don't want to get involved with bridezillas, or it's just too much for them, right? They'd rather just go photograph a headshot or photograph real estate. It's a house, doesn't talk back.
Yeah.
You just
Doesn't
take-
blink in the photos.
doesn't
Maybe
blink,
sometimes. I don't know.
But those are all great aspects of
Right.
photography. And like what you're saying is branching out from all this. I mean, you are a strength and conditioning coach, a professor, aspiring comedian. You got all these different things. A father, a husband. There's just so much to life. Why just put it all in one basket?
Yeah,
right?
it's true.
Agreed. I think there's something to be said for mastering one thing, like being real. You guys are great photographers, but you're also podcasters, drone operators, other things. But I think, we live in a great time. You can learn literally anything online. Right? Networking's never been easier.
Exactly.
And then if you
true.
get pretty good at something, it opens some doors for you. So I think, master your craft and figure out what you want to be good at. And then if that opens some other doors, definitely walk
Yeah.
through them whenever you can.
Can't hurt.
And that's one thing I think I do a pretty good job at. I don't think beat my chest that much, but I always try to give younger people a chance, right?
Yeah.
So I host a lot of open mics, help young comics, and the books have been kind of the same thing. So with this book where I had complete creative control, I was able to work with as many young helpers, if you will, as I can, right?
Yeah.
So you got two young guys, the content editor, Michael Perlin and Phil Almack, did a great job. And then Danielle Schwartz was a photographer for all the exercise descriptions, and it just worked out really well. She's a grad student at Rutgers. She just graduated, so congrats to her.
Okay,
But
wow,
on the
nice.
side of what she's doing in graduate school, why she wants to do photography.
Yeah.
So I knew her brother who owns a gym called Mach 1 Fitness over in Freehold.
Oh, sweet.
And he interned with me back in the day, and then we opened the gym, and it was the perfect situation where he had told me when the grand opening was going to be, when I needed a facility without logos or mirrors.
Right, okay.
So try finding a gym without logos or mirrors. You can't do
Pretty
it.
tough.
Yeah, right.
He told me we're opening, I think it was like June 1st of 2024.
Okay.
So I was like, can I come in like May 1st and do the photo shoot? And it
Yeah.
was perfect.
Yeah.
So I got a great photo shoot of me doing about 50 exercises, different stages of each
Nice.
one, with no branding in the background. Right?
Correct.
Now, that being said, on the next 4 years, volume 2, if Nike or Alico or Powerlift want to sponsor the book, let's get those logos in the volume 2. Right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's fine.
I'm not turning down anything but my collar for some sponsorship.
Yeah, right.
Correct.
But for right now, I had to do it without the sponsors in, so we kind of did it that way, and it worked out really. She did a great job.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm looking
Love
at the
that.
photos, and Mark and I are gym rats, and we're in the gym all the time, and these exercises look very familiar, and they've captured very well. Lighting's great, and you said this was an aspiring photographer.
Yeah, I think that's definitely her first book. I'm not sure if it's her first professional gig or not. One thing I will say to people who want to
great job.
self-publish on Amazon, yeah, super shout out to Danielle Schwartz and everybody in Mach 1 Barbell. They're rock stars. But one thing I will say, kind of the same thing on the Fiverr.
Yeah.
If you're a photography person and you really want your pictures to look great on something you do on Amazon.com,
Yeah.
Kindle Direct Publishing,
Yeah.
budget that in early.
Yeah.
Because the higher quality images you use, the more it's going to cost to publish the book, the less you're going to make on the back end when you sell a copy.
Right. Okay.
So I went with the level that I think gets the point across and does great. In reality, her pictures are probably a little better than the finished product shows.
Correct.
Because it would have set the price point so high, I have to make the book very expensive or take a huge, profit cut myself to put that
Right.
in. But just think of that ahead of time. And if you want super high quality images, you could do that on Kindle Direct Publishing. It just costs more per copy to make that happen. So I went with kind of the mid level,
Yeah.
which I think did justice to what Danielle did and put some money in my
Right.
pocket at the
Yeah,
end
no,
of
it
the
makes
day, too.
sense. Makes sense. At least they give you the options too. But I'm a visual learner, so I almost want to steal that book when you're done looking at it, because for me, when it comes to working out, I'm like, you'll read something online, they're like, oh, do this, and I'm just like, well, what is that? How do you take these words and show me the action? It's like you can tell you how to tie, but show me the video so I can see how to do it. So I love that the images are in here to help showcase, hey, this is exactly how you should do this, or whatever the workout is. I want to take a
Angela, on a personal level, have you had any results with a personal result with somebody that's read your book that was like maybe just getting out of high school, getting into a college level athlete, and took that book and read it and helped them out?
Well, yeah, it's a little early in that process. It just came out in November.
Okay.
I know for a fact one reader of the book is going to be running track at Dartmouth next year.
Very nice.
So her parents bought the book and they sent me an email thanking me for that. And I think we'll hopefully see a whole lot more of that as this fall goes on.
Yeah.
And then maybe the sophomores and juniors that read it this year will be coming out of high school next year and playing at the college level. But again, it's a little early to say, but at least one had a huge impact on it. And hopefully we see some more as the next couple of years come at us.
I love this. This is excellent.
And I have a lot of friends that are in that, that are in that level of age where they're going into college or already in college, play college sports. We'll definitely put a link in their bio for you to link it to your book so that people can purchase it.
I appreciate that, man. That would be great. Another thing for young people want to get involved in photography, I think you should look out for these opportunities as best you can. One thing being on a college campus, I deal with a lot of aspiring photographers, people that are in athletic departments, interns, and want to be in the industry you guys are in, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a win-win where I can give someone an opportunity to get their first published pictures,
Right.
pay them a little bit of money, and that gets the ball rolling on their resume and their portfolio moving forward, right? One that just kind of popped off for me, Long Branch Magazine wanted to do something on the book, and I was able to do a really cool photo shoot with an undergrad student named Beth Berardi, and she set me up for these great pictures. They're going to be in Long Branch Magazine in late June or late July, early August. But again, she was a young person, junior in college, had a vision that maybe an older person wouldn't have. We were able to execute that together for a very affordable price for me, and she gets a credit in a published magazine, which is, I think, a win for both of us.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely. No,
I
this is cool.
want to share a quick story for you too, real quick. We're going to wrap up shortly in a minute, but a friend of mine who I think I mentioned to you, I used to work over at PNC, right, for Live Nation, shooting the concerts. So I just finished shooting from the pit area, and I'm walking back, and this guy, says, hey. I turn around and I'm like, what's up, man? He goes, I love your work. I'm like, never met him before.
Love that.
I'm like, you love my work? You saw my work? He goes, yeah. I follow you on Instagram. I'm like, no kidding. Like, shake hands. We end up introducing ourselves, and we become very good friends.
Love that.
So over the past few years, he's always at, the concerts. And guess what he always was taking pictures with? His phone. And I'm looking at his phone, and then he was showing me other pictures that he would take on his phone. And I'm like, Michael, you are extremely talented. What you can take on your phone here, we need to get you a camera.
Yeah.
So over the years, we, probably within the last year, I think I gave him some advice on getting a camera. He eventually got a camera. Now he's posting the most incredible work. He's a local guy down in, as he walks around all the Jersey Shore.
Nice.
He is posting some incredible work.
Yeah.
And, and I think he felt to hear that from somebody else that's also a photographer,
Right.
that his work is worth something,
Yeah.
and I feel it's incredible.
Yeah.
Inspired him a little bit more to go out and buy that camera and go the next level. So
Right.
I don't know where it's going to take him.
Yeah.
And I'd love to have him probably second shoot with us one day because
Yeah.
he's that talented.
That's
So
awesome.
shout out to Mike, and he's just a great guy. So I just want to tell you that it can evolve sometimes from
Yeah.
an iPhone.
Yeah, 100%. Can I ask you guys a quick question?
Absolutely.
I think just based on my podcast experience in the past, a lot of Seton Hall students will listen to this, right?
Okay, cool.
What advice would you give somebody in high school or college that wants to break in and be? You said you just turned 30, right?
Yeah.
That wants to be
Great
where
question.
you are at 30. What camera would you buy? A big time camera? Would you start lower end? How do you get your work? I think everybody thinks I got to get everything on Instagram, which is probably some truth to that, I would guess.
Yeah.
And I'm in a weird boat. Everybody I've worked on these books are people I've known personally. I've never reached
Right.
out to somebody just based on online.
Yeah.
So what are some things you would say to like a young person who wants to do what you guys are doing?
Well, for me, first and foremost, it almost felt overwhelming because I'm like, where do you start, right? It's this big, vast area. And you're like, okay, I'm interested in this, but, where do I find my spot, I personally started out with a lower-end camera. I wasn't sure, getting into it. Like, okay, I'll start out with something small, but my biggest thing is experience. Just go out there and it doesn't matter what camera you have. Like, eventually it might, depending on what exactly you're trying to do. But, just get out there and get the experience. Like, work with DJs, work with these companies that do, for me, was weddings, Just get out there and get your hands on it. Buy the kit lens, and just explore and experiment. You know what I mean? I could tell you the truth. I was like, where am I going to be at 30? You always get asked that question. I was just like, I don't know, just wherever it took me, but I just took my skills over the years and just evolved and was like, yeah, just say yes. Like, don't be afraid, no anxiety, none of this stuff. It might come with it, but don't let that hinder your journey, because I'm telling you right now, if I ever said no to certain things, those doors would have never opened, For example, my sister, knew Dana, and that's how we met. Mm-hmm. If I said, this guy, I saw your Instagram, I was like, this guy's crushing it. Who am I? I'm not going to be that good. What if I said no to that? You know what I mean? We hit it off, and now, you know what I mean? Right. So it's like, just go for the experience, learn the skills. You can learn them, on YouTube. We've discussed this too in other podcasts, but get the experience hands-on, and it just shapes everything, and then you'll be able to go from there.
And I'll segue into that also. I'll add to that, rather. And first of all, that's an awesome question.
It is,
and I
yeah.
hope your Seton Hall students and people that follow you, we're going to share that with them too.
Yeah.
I hope they're listening. But, there is a technique to taking photos, right? And they do have photography classes.
Right.
And you should, if you can, if it's an elective or whatever it might be, absolutely take those classes and learn the camera, learn the technical
Basics,
aspects
yeah.
of photography, right? The basics. But what Mark was saying, so many times we've heard in our careers, oh, that's a great camera. It doesn't matter if it's a Canon, a Nikon, a
right.
Sony, whatever. We all shoot different brands. It's your creative eye. Like, take Michael Exen for an example, my friend. His creative eye led him from his iPhone to now a camera. So my advice would be to somebody just wanting to get out. Now, again, I don't know if I told you this. Prior to me becoming a full-time photographer, I was a police officer in Aberdeen Township. And I started out in forensic photography. I was sent out to a school in University of Tennessee. They taught me forensic photography. I came back. I absolutely loved taking pictures. I thought I knew the camera. I didn't know nothing about a camera until I went to this class. And then I was like, I think I could maybe make a side job out of this.
Yeah.
And out of the detective bureau became MTC photography. And I started booking weddings. I was a detective, so I had weekends off. And that's how it evolved. So that can happen for anybody. You could be going to have a business degree, which you should have a business degree if you want to
Right.
become a professional photographer. You do have to know the business end of it, right?
Right.
There are certain things that are required by you. People don't realize. Do you need insurance? Yes, absolutely. You need insurance. Venues are going to require it. You know, there's a liability, but all of those things can take time. But if you just want to just jump into there, get yourself a camera, get out there and shoot. Reach out to photographers on
Yeah.
Instagram and say, hey, look, you know, I'm just getting into this. I've never, ever turned anybody down that's reached out to me and said, hey, look, I'd love to shadow you for a day and see what you do.
Right.
You know, and we've had it, right? We
Yeah.
brought them to weddings, and
That's your experience.
that's
right
your
there.
experience.
Yeah,
That
you'll never
was
feel
offered
that
to
till you're
me.
there. Yeah.
Right. That was offered to me when I was first starting, so I would 100%
Right.
offer that to others.
Right. And then once you, like I said, once you get into it and you kind of find your thing and you're like, oh, like all of a sudden your brain starts working. You're like, you know what? Oh my goodness, I could crush this shot even more if I got this camera because it has these specs versus this specs. Like once you learn as you go and you're able to just like,
And some people may
Yeah.
want to figure out, am I going to be a photographer or video? I call Mark the hybrid, right? Because he does both. I, you know, could I shoot video? Probably. It's not my thing, right? But Mark, you know, he can do both.
Yeah.
But somebody might just jump in there and say, you know what? I just want to do video creation. And that's
Yeah.
fine too.
right.
You know,
Visual.
reach out to somebody
Yeah.
like you and get the experience.
Yeah. No, it's a good question. That was the professor
was
that
a
just
great
came at you
question.
there, huh? I love that.
appreciate that. I just deal with so many young people that want to do this, and
Yeah.
I think they're talented, but they probably don't know the next step.
Yeah, or like I feel like so many people today just kind of hold themselves back, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, like I'm nervous, I don't know," or I'm like, "Too like, don't be like that. Be outgoing." It's like that's how the world is, right? You just gotta like do
And
it.
you don't know where it's going to take you. Like, never in
Yeah.
a million years did I think that I'd be working for one of the largest stock photography companies in the world, Getty. I mean, Getty is world renowned. And everybody that I shoot with is the most humble photographer. There's so much talent in the
Yeah.
sports, entertainment, news side. It's just incredible to be around these people. And I'm humbled every day that I'm there. Like, I never take a job for granted because I know it could be gone like that, most
Yeah.
likely. But I love the people that I work with. I love the company and the access that I get from working for Getty is just incredible. And
Yeah.
it's been an amazing experience. And
Yeah.
anybody out there can, get there eventually.
It all comes full circle, right? Back to Lucille, right? You would have never gotten, you would have never gotten to the Walking Dead in City Field or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So, any last thoughts that you might have, Angelo, about your book, about photography? Want to talk about your comedy that might be coming up?
yeah,
Yeah, I got a couple shows. I try to do shows every week or so. A couple things this summer coming up. You can follow my Instagram, Mr. Fifth Round, MR, the number 5, THRUND. I post all my dates on there. And then, like I said, summer's a little bit quieter for me at Seton Hall, so I do some more stuff around Long Branch, Monmouth County, training-wise. Hopefully a new book in 2026 if things go right. And then, the next 4 years for the rest of this year. And any if you have some people in your life that are aspiring to play college athletics, one thing I've seen from McDonald's All-American basketball players to walk-on cross-country kids is people show up to college unprepared. And there's a bunch of reasons you can read about in the book why that happens. But if you start preparing your senior year, you can have a much smoother transition and really compete the day you get there and put yourself in a much better chance to have a good experience as a college athlete by doing the right things ahead of time and showing up ready to go, as opposed to being the freshman that's always lagging behind and not being an asset to his team or his coaching staff.
Yeah,
Cool.
That's great words. So I got a little something here for you just to wrap up.
Oh, we
Mark,
got the
you
hoodie.
have The closing words.
There it is. I was gonna say, where can you get the book again?
Yeah, this little hoodie for you. Thank you for coming on.
Ah, there it
that.
is. All right, man, you got to hold some up too, right? We all were like show and tell here.
That's right.
There we go. But yeah, let them know where you can get the book one more time, just before we close out.
The book is available on Amazon.com. Angelo Gingerelli, ANGELO GINGERELLI. The next 4 years, compete, win, and thrive in college sports is available now.
And we'll put that link in the bio.
Yes, we will.
Well, you guys will have access to that. We want to thank you again, Angela, for coming on today. It's
Yeah, man.
been a bit
Thank
since
you,
we got
yeah, dude.
together. Mark, you have any closing words for us?
That's all she wrote, folks. How about that?
All right.
Maybe this rain will go away.
Well, you have a good time of your.
Oh yes, in Mexico.
Bring
I'll
the
see you
sun
guys.
back.
I'll try to fit that in my bag. I will definitely do that. I'll bring back some Mexico warmth.
I appreciate that, and we will
See.
see you on the next episode. of All in Focus. See
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.